All right, Knicks fans, we need to talk because something just happened in the front office that honestly has me scratching my head. And if you've been following this team as closely as I have, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. But before I get into it, if you're new here, smash that subscribe button right now because we cover every single move this front office makes, good, bad, or straight up confusing. And if you agree with anything I'm about to say, drop a like on this video. It genuinely helps the channel more than you'd think. So here's the situation. Coming off that championship run, the Knicks used their first pick in the draft on a 20-year-old point guard out of Germany. Big name, big hype, guy tore up the summer league. Looked like he could actually contribute right away. Problem is, this kid was never even eligible for a two-way deal because of his existing contract overseas. Everybody in the building knew that going in. So the front office is sitting there thinking, okay, do we make room for this guy? Do we shuffle the roster? Do we maybe even move on from one of our current point guards to clear a spot? That was the conversation happening behind closed doors, I guarantee you. And guess whose name kept coming up in those conversations? Tyler Kolek, a guy heading into year 3, a guy who has literally shown up every single time this coaching staff needed him. That's not me exaggerating for the camera. That's just facts. And I'm going to walk you through exactly why in a second, because it matters. But here's the twist. And honestly, it's the kind of twist that makes you shake your head at how these things play out. That German prospect just signed a 5-year deal to stay overseas. 5 years. That means he's not walking into Garden anytime soon, maybe not ever. So all that roster shuffling, all that who do we move to make space talk, it might have been for absolutely nothing. Comment below and tell me, does this front office even have a long-term plan? Or are we just making up as we go? Now let's talk about the guy who almost got squeezed out of the picture. Tyler Kolek, 25 years old, 3rd year in the league. And if you watched this team last season, you know he is buried on the depth chart. He's behind Brunson, he's behind McBride, he's behind Alvarado, he's behind Clarkson. On paper, that's 4 guys ahead of him at the same position. 4. And yet, every single time Mike Brown has actually needed him, Kolek has delivered. And I mean that literally. Opening night last season, he's out there. Coach comes right out and says the one thing holding this kid back isn't his shooting, isn't his IQ, it's his defense. That's the one knock. And what does Kolek do? He goes out and, more often than not, prove that comment wrong, or at least makes it a lot less relevant, because when the lights got the brightest, this guy showed up. Think about it. NBA Finals against San Antonio, one of the most physical, most disciplined defensive teams in the league. And Kolek gets thrown into that fire and doesn't blink. Christmas Day, primetime slot. Everybody watching against Cleveland, and he's out there competing like it's a playoff game in February. And then there's that early February matchup at home against the Lakers, against LeBron James of all people. And Kolek is out there holding his own on a stage most third-year guards would freeze on. That's not luck. That's not a hot streak. That's a pattern. And patterns tell you who a player actually is. So can we please stop treating this guy like an afterthought? I get the depth chart is what it is. The roster is loaded, but every single time this front office has flirted with using him as trade filler or shipping him out just to patch a hole at center behind Karl Anthony Towns, I feel like we're one bad week away from regretting it. Like and comment if you think Kolek deserves more run this season, because I genuinely think the fan base is sleeping on this kid. Now let's zoom out for a second, because context matters here. The Knicks are coming into this season as defending champions. But let's be real, they're being talked about like underdogs already. And honestly, that tracks. History does not favor repeat champions in this league, especially not in this current era, where every single roster in the league is stacked, where the margins between good teams and great teams are razor thin, where one injury or one bad stretch can knock you out in the second round. Defending a title in this league is brutal. It chews teams up. But here's the flip side, and this is where I actually feel optimistic. This team just got rid of 53 years of pressure. 53 years of when's the last time. 53 years of playoff heartbreak. 53 years of that weight hanging over every single Knicks season. That's gone now. And when you take that pressure off a roster, when guys aren't playing scared, when they're playing free, that's exactly the environment where a guy like Kolek gets to actually show what he can do. instead of being buried because the front office is too scared to experiment. And that's actually been Mike Brown's biggest strength, if you ask me. Say what you want about some of his rotation decisions, but this man is not afraid to throw young guys into the fire. He did it all season. Injuries hit, and instead of panicking, he trusted guys like Kolek to start to play real minutes, real responsibility, in front of Madison Square Garden crowd that does not forgive mistakes easily. That takes guts as a coach. That takes actual belief in player development, not just chasing wins game to game. So where does that leave us heading into the season? Honestly, I think Kolek is one training camp injury, one hot stretch, one earned opportunity away from cementing himself as a real piece of this rotation long term. The front office almost mortgaged that potential for a kid who, by the way, just signed overseas for half a decade. Let that sink in for a second. I want to hear from you guys on this one. Do you trust this front office to make the right call at the point guard position going forward? Are you comfortable with Kolek sitting fourth on the depth chart? Or do you think he's earned more minutes than that already? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one of them, and honestly some of the best takes on this channel come straight from you guys. If this breakdown got you thinking differently about the point guard situation, do me a favor and hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube to actually put this video in front of more Knicks fans. And obviously, subscribe if you haven't, because we're going to be tracking every single roster move, every single training camp battle, every single depth chart shakeup, all the way through opening night and beyond. That's it for this one. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next video.